Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another Wednesday night live stream. I missed one last week, but we're back again this week, and it looks like every technical issue that I've had in previous streams seems to have been resolved. So, fingers crossed that holds up for the rest of the stream. So, I hope everyone has had a wonderful 2 weeks since we last did a stream. We're probably going to be doing, as you can see from the title of the video, we're going to be doing some Blood Angels kit bashing. We're going to be looking at creating some new units because they didn't get many compared to the other Space Marine chapters, but we're also going to kind of just ease into things a little bit. We're going to have a little bit more of a different flow to the stream. Probably going to have a look at some of the news for the Warhammer news, looking at the new reveals. I've not really talked about them. So look at basically stuff that was revealed on Friday, which I'm sure is like old news to most people, but maybe you'll be interested in hearing my take. Just going to have a quick scan through there. And then you have a quick chat, and then we're going to do a bit of kit bashing because the idea that I have in mind isn't really a super involved build, so I don't want to get started and then be done in an hour. So we're going to have a nice chill. So I hope everyone in the chat is having a wonderful evening or morning, depending on where you are in the world. We have Yankee in the chat. It's going to be keeping everyone in line, hopefully, although probably inciting some of that. This camera autofocus is terrible. I think it's the microphone that gets better. I'm trying to angle the microphone so it's about the same. Okay, we'll deal with it. Yeah, so we're on Twitch as well. I managed to figure out what went wrong with the Twitch stuff last time, so we're streaming with Twitch again. So yeah, if you're on Twitch, hello. If you're on YouTube, hello to you. So as I said, we're going to be quickly looking at some of the new reveals because there was a lot on Friday, an awful lot on Friday, and like I said, I'm sure most of you have already seen it, but we're going to be having a quick chat. So first things first, what do we have here? I'm just making sure everything's okay. Right, okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is one of the last things that was revealed, and it was obviously the new kill team stuff. And the reason why I want to talk about these first is because you may remember let's see if it's still on Warhammer Community actually. Let's see if I can find the article, but probably won't be able to. So I basically did that wrapped it. Here we go. Okay, so when was this now? This was July 2021. So this is quite a while. This is quite an old kit batch that I did. It was 4 years ago now. So I did a Raptors kill team, and the Warhammer community was like, oh yeah, we'll share it. And then it wasn't long after this where they completely changed all the rules, which made this kill team completely illegal because it had lots of mixed unit types. So yeah, this is the beginning of me and my Raptors. These are quite different. You've probably seen the videos. But yeah, this is this article. I had a leader, a sniper specialist. These were eliminator classes. We had a Reaver, who's a combat specialist. We had an intercessor, another intercessor, and then since then there's been more than that. Since then we've had heavy intercessors. There's a scout. There's a few other different mixed unit types. But they changed the rules, and there was one kill. I think the Angels of Death kill team had the option to take in like a few mixed units, but it was very much like specifically locked into certain roles and weaponry based on what those kind of Warhammer heroes was. And yeah, so actually seeing the fact that we're getting Deathwatch kill teams is amazing because as you can see, we have Tacticus armor, we have the more heavy intercessor armor, the Gravis armor type units as well. There's also some Reavers in there. We've even got Raptors. We've even got official Raptor like models now, so that's really cool. Yeah, really kind of nice mixture of armor types in here, weapon types as well. So yeah, even if I don't run these as Deathwatch, I think it'd be really cool to probably revisit. I think we might do. We probably will redo the kill team. I know it seems like I'm treading new ground. I've already got a kill team, but I think some of these different weapon options are going to be very specific loadouts for this team. So I do like to make sure that things are rules legal, at least for this kind of stuff. So yeah, lots of cool bits in there. I mean, these are going to be very, very cool for Raptors. Everything fits in really nicely there. So yeah, really looking forward to these. We've got pouches, chest pouches, perfect, lovely. Lots of optics, things like that. So yeah, really, really excited for these. Necrons, take or leave them. I think they're quite. I like these little guys. These are pretty cool. These are probably gonna find use if I ever come around to using them. Probably as some sort of Xenos auxiliary. That's the likelihood of that one. I think we're gonna go for that. Right, so we're gonna quickly power through these. The helmet's cool. I'm probably gonna pick up one of those helmets because I quite like the idea of helmets. I've got helmets, Star Wars helmets above me. It'd be going nice with those. Characters. Okay, so Volcanistan. I like all these models. Lysander getting a plastic model, very, very cool. Now this guy is probably going to end up as a Night Lord. I think as soon as I get my hands on this guy, he's going to be converted into a Night Lord. He's going to be the chapter master of my loyalist Conrad Kerr's Night Lord. So yeah, expect that as soon as that gets a date for release. Fully expect to see a Night Lord's version of that from me. What else do we have? Not much for the Horus Heresy. I was hoping to see more for the Horus Heresy personally, but oh well. These are quite nice models. Some nice chain X's to add to the old bits box. Legions Imperialis, yeah, not really bothered. Warhammer Underworlds, again, not too fussed about these, but obviously we do have the new. I mean, I'm going to call them Chaos Dwarfs because that's what they are. And obviously we have the whole kind of Chaos Dwarf release. Lots of cool stuff here. I think the colour scheme, I'm not a huge fan of the colour scheme, but I think there's some really nice models in here. Really nice for customizations and kit bashing. I always like a big model like this. Lots of kit bashing potential, few weapon options. Not sure what though. Probably have to look at the kit first, so we'll see what happens with that. Maybe some sort of kit bash, maybe some sort of Primarch kit bash, we'll see. I was glad to see that there was a version with hands as well. That makes this a lot more usable than just the gun arm version. Old world stuff, pretty cool. Tomb Kings. Yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. And last, we also have the Leagues of Votan. So yeah, pretty cool characters, like those. These Steeljacks are very cool. I like the fact that they're just like full human sized as well. Like they're just not even really gone. Oh yeah, we're not even building like squat size anymore. We're literally just building Space Marine size, and they're just exactly the same as Terran Marines as well, which is just hilarious. I mean, these guys could, if you painted them blue, they would look just like Terran Marines. I like this. This is very on brand for Votan as well. Vehicle. Still not a huge fan of these hover type vehicles personally. I think a tracked vehicle would have worked really nicely for these guys, but oh well, yeah. Anyway, so look at the chat. I just kind of had a lot of just a monologue there for the first 10 minutes. So squiggly monopose Robobug seem a bit meh in comparison to a fully customizable Deathwatch squad. It's always going to be the case with Space Marines. Any Xenos faction is not going to be as well looked after as Space Marines when it comes to Games Workshop. Necron Tech captures studied reverse engineered by Tab. Yeah, you could easily probably incorporate something like that. Maybe some sort of. I was thinking initially some sort of race that was maybe subservient to the Necron tier, and they've also been sealed away on a tomb world, and they've woken up, but they're not. They're more like cryo sleep than the Necrons. And anyway, so they have Necron styles, but they throw a lot on with the Tau. Maybe something like that. Sad there's no Primaris Cato Sicarius. I know we haven't really had Pedro Cantor though, had we either? So there's still time. There's still plenty of time for Primaris characters. I want that Minotaur as a Forge Fiend for my Iron Warriors. Yep, very, very cool for Iron Warriors, I think. Lots of Chaos Dreadnought kind of customized. It's quite a squat model, so quite a cool. Be interesting to see what the size difference is like compared to the Hellbrute, things like that. Would you want Iron Warriors builds, please? Iron Within, Iron Without. Possibly, yeah, I do like the Iron Warriors. I did a Horus Heresy video for them. I've done the Iron Warriors Warpsmith as well. So, Warsmith, not Warpsmith. So yeah, definitely. Deathwatch team looks a bit bland to me. I think I think it looks like Deathwatch. I think that's the thing. I think they've kind of been limited. If you compare it to the Deathwatch team that got released years ago, this is quite a while ago now. The one which had all of the characters in there, which had that. I don't know if you can still buy it actually. That was very much more heavily implied that each unit was a member of a particular faction, whereas this is a little bit. So you've obviously got the White Scars there, Flesh Tearers or Blood Angels components. That's quite. Is that like supposed to be Iron Hands or something? A bit more generic. Again, Imperial Fist quite generic apart from the head. So they've had to keep things a little bit more generic just to kind of give people the customization options, I suppose. But yeah, I do see that there's not quite as much flavor in the models, but there's nothing stopping you from adding that yourself. I mean, if you want to do a Space Wolf character, you can easily go and dip into your Space Wolf bits box and add more Space Wolf components. Same with the Ultramarine character. Same with this. I can't remember. Is that Angels of the Covenant, something like that? Anyway. I was in a call during the reveal show and there was talk about turning that big bull into maybe a Hellbrute for the Iron Warriors. Yeah, let's have a look on Mini Compare. They're usually pretty quick, to be fair, at getting stuff on. So what exactly is what is it called? If we can find out the name, then we can probably have a quick search to see. No, that's this one. The Dominator engine. Okay. Let's see if they've added it on Mini Compare yet. They have. Okay, cool. So if we go and look for the Hellbrutes. That one will do. Okay, so yeah, quite a bit bigger than the Hellbrute. These guys are usually pretty accurate as well in terms of... I'm just going to hide my camera so you can see. Yeah, I'd say in terms of... In the past, these have always been very accurate. So I think... maybe a little bit too big for the Hellbrute, but let's see. Someone said about the Forge Fiend. Let's see how that stacks up against it. I think the Forge Fiend will be closer. Yeah, so a little teeny tiny little bit smaller than the Forge Fiend. Redemptor, so that's really what the Redemptor's like. Because the Redemptor is bigger than the Hellbrute, so I reckon this will probably be... Yes, okay, it's smaller than the Redemptor, so still not particularly huge. Let's have a look at it compared to Primarchs. Probably not the Demon Primarchs, they're a lot bigger, but let's see. I mean, someone said Perturabo, so... Okay, I can see that. I think it would work well as a Demon Prince version of Perturabo. I think he's very blocky though. I think we'd need to have a lot more kind of cables and technical pieces on there just to add that aspect. But yeah, out of interest actually, I wanted to check something because Saturnine Praetor. This is the great thing about the new Saturnine armor. Because it's basically just Primarch size now, so that everyone has just got like a Primarch size model that they can use for... I mean, I don't think he's one of the particularly big ones, but what is he like compared to Angron, actually? Okay, yeah, that's let's try this. Let's try this. Okay. Okay, let's go on the tabletop face. There we go. Okay, so the only original Horus Heresy Primal that I did was my Lorgar. So let's have a look at how he compares, and then we can compare him against the Comrade Kurz that I did, which is obviously the Lion. Let me just get that. So There's definitely been a scale creep in terms of the plastics versus the... They're fairly close in their size, but there's definitely... He seems a lot bigger, a lot more chunky than the Lorgar does there. So there's already been some scale creep. So if we keep that in mind, and then we bring in the Saturnine Praetor and see how that kind of stacks up. So yeah, you can see the head. The head is definitely lower in the torso. I think mine is a little bit less upright than the one that I was showing off on the comparison. So yeah, I actually think that if we kind of measure the feet roughly, they're about the same size. So if you wanted to build your own versions of Primarchs, then the Saturnine Praetors are probably a good way to go. Compared to someone like a Lion, a little bit smaller, the Lion is still quite a bit bigger. Probably the same with Guilliman. I don't have an assembled one to show you, but yeah. Lionel Johnson video for conversion for Lorgar when. Nightwall Studios and Crusher Joe 316 over on Twitch. Hello to you. Good evening. How old are the resin Primarchs? So the resin Primarchs are actually quite old now. I'm not sure exactly how old they are, but I'm sure someone can probably tell me in the chat. But I think some of them are newer. So let's go back to this and let's take off Angron, because Angron is definitely one of the older ones. Who's the newest one? I think the Lion is the newest one, isn't he? I just put there. Okay. So I think this is the newest one. Yeah, you can kind of see the scale creep even just within the actual series. I don't know the lore enough to know who was the... I think Magnus... Oh, Magnus is actually... Is Magnus newer than the lore? I remember Magnus being fairly new. Okay, so Magnus is probably the biggest one. So if I take Perturabo off, yeah, so I think he's probably the biggest model of the Primarchs, of the Horus Heresy Primarchs at least. Obviously not including the Ascended versions. I think these are the more newer ones, which explains why their size difference is so much bigger than Angron. He's supposed to be Angron, but yeah. Alferis is the newest one. Okay, let's bring Alferis in there as well. Okay, there. Oh, let's bring that in. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some... in terms of scale, that I understand that obviously the Primarchs are, and then there's going to be slight variations because of where the pose, but they do try to line them up a little bit more. But yeah, Alferis is probably one of the smaller ones then. Probably on par with Angron and things like that. Horus Ascended is the newest non-demon prince. Yeah, I'm not really counting the Ascended ones just because... they are kind of slightly more demonically possessed. So yeah, I mean it's still smaller than Magnus. So yeah, maybe not in terms of scale, but yeah, actually, just in terms of height, smaller. But the proportions are different. You can definitely tell this is a smaller guy in a bigger suit, and this is a bigger guy in a not quite as big as a result. Alferis is canonically the shortest, Magnus is canonically the tallest. Yeah, it makes sense for Alferis to be the shortest. I think he's supposed to be able to blend in amongst the rank and file more. So, Ascended kind of falls into the transfigured category. Yeah, I would count it. He's not quite as extended as the other ones are, but yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So I think we've kind of covered the news for this week. I'm sure there'll be more that we can possibly dip into in the future. But we're going to actually start talking about what the plan of this video was. And the idea of this video was to fix the problem that the Blood Angels players had. that when the Space Wolves were released, they received 2 new infantry kits. They received new Terminators. What else did we get? They got the Wolf Guard Companions. No, the Inner Circle Companions. I'm getting confused. Dark Angels. They got the new Wolf Guard Head Takers. That was it. They had a bunch of new characters. They had some pretty cool stuff overall. Dark Angels. They got the Inner Circle Companions. They got Deathwing Knight Terminators as well. They also got the standard kind of upgrade kits for the rest of the units and a few characters. Black Templars have always had a good amount. They had Sword Brethren. They have the Crusader squads as well. Characters. Blood Angels, unfortunately, all they got was Sanguinary Guard. If I'm not mistaken, I could be mistaken in that. I don't think I am, but they got Sanguinary Guard and then a bunch of upgrade sprues and some characters. Essentially, Blood Angels players were a little more shortchanged compared to the other guys. Now, I'm sure if you're a Salamanders player or a Raven Guard player or even an Ultramarines player, you're probably thinking, well, so what? I mean, we haven't got anything. But Blood Angels have always been that kind of level of... you would expect them to have their own infantry kits in the same ways that the other factions have. Maybe a specific... what's the word? Death Company kit rather than just upgrades. So, yeah. So, effectively, what we're going to be trying to do is to come up with some new unit types, new specialist unit types that fit within the lore of Blood Angels, but also add something new. I don't want to just do a new Terminator unit or anything like that. Yeah, they also lost the Furioso Dreadnought, didn't they? I think it still kind of exists as like the... No. Was it? Hang on. What's that Dreadnought called with the 2 fists? The new Redemptor one. I can't remember what it's called now. Brutalis. Okay, yeah. So the Furioso is kind of like that, but it was very specific to Blood Angels. But yeah, we've basically... All we've got is... I mean, that is like a... Why weren't these re-released? I don't know why. I don't know why we didn't get Blood Angel specific ones, because we received Space Wolf ones, we received Dark Angel ones. But yeah, it's a bit of a shame overall. We got Sanguinary Guard and we got an upgrade and transfer sheet, and then a bunch of... I'm surprised the Bar Predator's still there, to be fair. I'm very surprised. They have a few characters, admittedly. The Sanguinary Priest, a few named characters. Not too bad on that front, but we can come up with something else. So we're going to be... There's lots of ideas we can do, but we need to kind of keep it within the scope of this video. We've got about an hour and a half, 2 hours left. So we're going to come up with ideas. We're going to work together. I've got some ideas already, so we're going to start from there, but I'm welcome to have your input on units. I'm looking for more battle line / elite units. I don't want characters. I don't want single units. I don't want vehicles. I want something which is either a new battle line unit or a new specialist unit. And yeah, we're gonna brainstorm this, and to do so, I'm going to be assisted by Paint. So did I mention that I worked at Blizzard for 7 years? Anyway. Right, okay, so the idea that I had to begin with was... so what I wanted effectively was something... If you can see the thumbnail, I did like a little bit of a brief Photoshop mock-up, and the idea of it was kind of like a... so let's go for a few ideas here. And we're going to write these down on here because this is a nice... We're going to try and come up with 4 ideas. So I'm thinking one of them would be a Phobos. So something like an Eliminator, anything that kind of level. Something which is maybe like a heavy intercessor. So HI. We've already got jump pack covered, so we're going to look at more like a Tacticus armor. Is it Tacticus or Maximus armor? Let's put tactical. There we go. And then what else have we got? We're going to kind of come up with another option as well. I tell you, I'm going to leave this blank because I can sit down here. This can be my little area. So first of all, we're going to start off with Phobos. So the idea that I had going into this with some sort of eliminator variants, because we don't really have any like specialized eliminators, and even though it might make more sense on the face of it to be something you would see for Raven Guard or something like those kind of chapters, I do think that having like almost like an assassin unit for the Blood Angels would work really nicely. And the idea I was thinking was having some sort of using the eliminator bodies, but then using like a cut down version of the kind of the Sanguinary God death mask. So I don't want to call them death marks because they're already Necron death marks, but I'm thinking of some sort of assassin unit. That's what I'm thinking. Someone who specializes in taking down characters, is more of someone who takes a pride in their marksman abilities, maybe almost the antithesis of the Black Rage, someone who's maybe even managed to focus that Black Rage into so much of like a state of Zen that they're excellent marksmen, something like that. So I was kind of thinking about Phobos called Blood Drinkers, leaning into the vampire thing. That could work nicely. Centurions. I don't have Centurions to hand, so we're not going to work on that one. We're going to do for good boss. Okay, fair enough. I'll fix that. Where's the paintbrush? There it is. The paintbrush is a little bit better. There we go. Phobos. There we go. Death's Chosen. Black Rage Centurions. Bloodsworn. I quite like the idea of Bloodsworn. Let's make a note of Bloodsworn. I'm going to put it here. Sworn. Okay, I like that name. That's a good name. So what else do we have? Black Rage Centurions. I like that, but not for this one. Death's Chosen. Eyes of the Angels. I quite like that one. That's quite a nice one. So it's also Fangs of Morkai, maybe something like a special character hunting Reavers. Angel's Tears Heresy unit. Which one's that one? Am I already reinventing the wheel here? Okay, let's have a look at the vibe for these guys. What is the I want the lore. Okay. Angel's Tears is often called Broken Blade, Dead Hand, so they're the destroyers, aren't they? That's the destroyer logo. Commonly seen in the orders of the First Sphere and were specialists in the use of weapons of mass destruction. The Warriors of the Angel's Tears served the same dark role, combat specialty destroyer. So yeah, lots of like really dangerous heavy weapons. So weaponry wise, this could work actually. I think maybe a 40k version of this one works well. So let's put those in heavy incessors or tactical. What would I know? Traditionally, that would work better for tactical. Have I spelled tactical right there? No, tacital. How have I misspelled that? No one noticed either, I don't think. I've missed out a T. Okay. Jesus. This is going well. Cool. There we go. Sorted it. So, Dan Does, good evening. Right, I think I quite like re kind of visiting the Angel's Tears. Let's stick those in tactical. We can have these as like as a reversion, a 40k version of this. I quite like 40k versions of these Angel's Tears. Let's go for Bloodsworn for the heavy intercessor idea. I think having a close combat version of heavy intercessor would work, like a similar kind of thing to. We need a name for the Phobos ones. New Phobos ones. Oh, we even have 52 miniatures as well. Welcome to the stream, everyone. Phobos. Need some names. Come on. We need some names for the Phobos unit. I'm thinking Eliminator Sniper unit as well. We need that kind of thing. Vein Hunters. Angel Spear. Okay. I like Red Reapers. So let's go for I'm gonna riff on that. I'm gonna go for Blood Reapers. I don't know if that is a unit already, but we're gonna kind of look at that. Let's have a look. Blood Reapers. Okay, right. We've got our short list of 3. We've got Blood Reapers, which are like a Phobos unit. We've got Heavy Ancestors, which are the Bloodsworn, and a Tactical Angels tier. So these are just going to be 30k in 40k. Very, very straightforward. Basically Devastators, but in the 40k version. Bloodsworn, I'm thinking of CC units. So I would like the idea of a heavy Gravis armor, but with chain fists, if that makes sense. I think that's a core unit, I think. Blood Reapers, they are, aren't they? Yeah. Blood Hunters, are they anything? You're very correct. Blood Reapers, I think, are a Khorne unit. I think anything with blood is likely to have Khorne in it. So let's take off blood and go for... I don't like the alliteration. I think Red Reapers doesn't work all that well. Shroud Hunters, quite like that. That's quite nice. Fangs of Sanguinius. We'll come back to that. We're gonna keep leaving me suggestions for this Phobos sniper unit. I'm gonna put sniper unit in there just so we can kind of get an idea of what we're doing. Sniper. Phobos sniper. Okay. So these guys, I'm thinking Bloodsworn would be close combat with Chain Fists, I think. I would like some Chain Fists. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe some sort of assault cannon. This is really hard. Assault cannon. These guys. So... Oh, hang on. I quite like exsanguinators. Hang on. Let me check that. How to spell that. Okay. Yeah, that's a cool name. Teb the Christian Wargamer. Yeah, I think you've got... Let's... Okay, so they are a chapter as well. Okay. Yeah, as Yankee says, they are already a chapter, but that's pretty cool. We're going to go for that. We're going to go for exsanguinators, I think. That's a cool name. Okay, right. We've settled on the names. I might change them. Okay, so what I was thinking for these guys was... so Eliminator Body. And probably going to go for some sort of Sanguinary Guard head, but with kind of the crown cut down, so it's more of like a death mask as opposed to anything else. Oh no, not my idea. So sorry, whoever said it first, but I'm loud. Yeah. Okay. Good. Blood marks. I like that as well. It's like death marks, but yeah, it kind of also sounds like what they leave behind after their deployment. RP Shroud Hunters. They're all great names. We can probably come back and do this maybe for all the loyalist chapters. So if you had some good names, sit on them. We'll maybe do something else. Stormcast heads could work. Yeah, good choice. I think the reason why I quite like the idea of the let's grab some. Let's kind of just do a little bit of a. Let's do a little bit of. So basically, what I was thinking with those guys was effectively having this kind of head, but removing this crown. If I was doing this like properly, like on a full-on actual build, I'd probably rebuild the seam out across the top. This edge here, so it kind of reduces the side of the head a little bit, and also creates more of a death mask effect. So yeah, that's what I was thinking for those. I think those pretty much on eliminator bodies, with some of the Blood Angel details, probably quite straightforward. Exsanguination squad, yeah, I think that works quite nicely. I like that. Naval Base Marines, the Marine Marines. Yes, I think that would be good for those guys. What else do we have? What's next? What else do we have? Firefox. Heavy Intercessors, close combat weapons, chain fist with an assault cannon, or maybe. What do we think? Oh, actually, I didn't realize that I'd been raided on Twitch from Peachy Tips. Hi guys. We're currently in the process of for everyone who's new over on Twitch. We're currently in the process of coming up with some ideas for Blood Angels units that don't exist, because Blood Angels were kind of shortchanged by the recent Space Marine releases. So we're going to fix that, and we're maybe going to do a little bit of kit bashing as well once we've decided on stuff. So just to recap where we are, we have a Phobos sniper unit, so we were calling the Exsanguinators or Exsanguination Squad. I quite like that idea from Cromlock. That's quite nice. I like that. The Heavy Intercessor unit that I'm playing with is maybe some sort of close combat unit with the chain fist, or maybe it has some sort of assault cannon instead. Joe Harbison, thank you very much for the super chat. €2. Inceptors with close combat weapons, the Anguished. It's a nice name. Nice. It works well with works well as well. I quite like that idea. I think it'd be interesting with an Angels Tiers unit to. What do we think? Do we think that this kind of unit would work well if it was some sort of Black Rage unit? So maybe in early stages of Black Rage. Kind of like a Death Company, but maybe just when those first hints start to appear, so they give them some. Or maybe even further in the process. Maybe when they're kind of really at the end, and it's like, okay, let's give them the worst weaponry that we've got. Let's give them the Volkite stuff, or the stuff that's kind of likely to blow themselves up as it is to actually destroy the enemies. And then that keeps Yankee happy as well. So, I think early on the Black Rage process. Okay, so they've still got a little bit more of a kind of. They may be kind of coming in and out of it. They have a little bit more understanding. They're not so fallen to the Black Rage that they still have some of their faculties, but every now and again they'll just kind of slip, and they'll just be a little bit more. Okay, yeah. Death Company, but we've got through it like Mephiston. I quite like that actually. That's quite nice. I quite like that idea as well. Well, I'll tell you what then. Let's go for, let's have our cake and eat it. Let's say that the Insanguinators are Black Rage survivors. And it's almost like they're kind of the focus that they've had to develop to control the Black Rage and kind of deal through it and fight their way through it has given them an extremely strong focus that they can then use to eliminate. So, okay, I quite like this maybe this pipeline where you have, if you have the tactical unit here, these like the earliest stage of Black Rage, so they still have some of their faculties, but they're starting to slip more and more. So they say, well, let's give them the heavier weaponry whilst they still can use it. They can go in, and then we kind of have Black Rage, which sits like in the middle here, and then that goes more. Then if they come out of it and they survive and they're able to control it, then we have very, very few. So this explains why there's only got maybe like 3 of these in an army, because there's not many that make it that far through. And then the Bloodsworn are just kind of just generic Red Thirst. Let's go for that one. Oh my god, are they shooting at Horus, but everyone is Horus? Maybe they're more consumed by the Red Thirst as it turns them more savage rather than mad. Yeah. The anti-board is just a hoax. It will 100% do his Black Eliminators. Just because I spent about 30 minutes doing that Photoshop edit for the thumbnail doesn't necessarily mean I'm only going to be doing those. This is why we're doing this. We're doing a community-driven kit bash. I thought the idea of doing this is a little bit better than me just coming out with, hi guys, I've got an idea. We're going to work the idea and you can watch me. We're going to do some community kit bashing in this one. Yeah, Ankoth over on Twitch, they can feel it coming to take a vow to die, Dwarf Slayers and Blood Angels. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go for here. Angels Tier. So it's like they've taken an idea from that's in their past. They've reapplied it to the fact that they now suffer from the Black Rage. Early level. Okay, early. Let's put that there. So the thing is, because this is a custom unit and it doesn't have rules, we can literally give them whatever weapons that we want to. So if we can have a quick look at what's the kind of weapons that these guys had. So Volkite, Serpenta, grenade launchers, heavy flamers, assault cannons, rotor cannons. What do they look like? Okay, they're just the same as okay. Heavy chain swords, power weapons. Okay. I'm quite tempted by the Volkite stuff, to be fair. I quite like the Volkite stuff. I think having some sort of really over-the-top heavy weapon would work quite nicely. I also like the idea of this kind of muscle armor for them as well. Interesting. We can get rid of that one for the time being. Map Sky Grey Rage. Not quite fully there. Satoran, no, don't fully understand the lore of Blood Angels, but Death Company Blood Angels. So to put it mildly, for anyone who doesn't really understand Blood Angels, the Blood Angels have got 2 problems. They have the Red Thirst, which is more of like an innate gene flaw, and it kind of gives them this kind of like thirst for blood, which is where the vampire adjacent stuff comes from. And then there's the Black Rage, which was something which happened upon the death of Sanguinius. It kind of had this it's like a psychic kind of wave, and it's almost like this memory that affects the Blood Angels, and they slip into madness, and they kind of relive the last moments of Sanguinius, and they see every enemy that they fight as Horus, and they fight Horus a lot. They just basically see Horus everywhere and kind of have that almost last few minutes, and they become so enraged, I guess, that they become uncontrollable, other than by the Blood Angels chaplains. Sorry. Angels Tears is bad as Scream Snipers. These guys aren't snipers. These are pretty much just a rehash of the 30k unit, but with Black Rage instead. Okay. These are probably the ones I'm not feeling the most. I think these are probably... Let's hear some ideas for these guys, the heavy intercessor unit. Let's get some some interesting ideas for these. Like I said, I want to go for something which is obviously assault cannons are very Blood Angels. Chain weaponry is very Blood Angels as well, so I'd really like to incorporate those. So yeah, give me some ideas for the. I think we've locked down these guys, and we've locked down these guys as well. I pretty much already knew what I wanted to do, but the Black Rage Survivor idea is very cool. Would have more developed Red Thirst with a hint of Black Rage be Burgundy Rage. I guess so. Maybe just when you're at the start of the Red Thirst, it's maybe like the Pink Thirst, maybe just that initial phase. Flawless blade like heavy intercessors using large blades, spears, and axes. Like no, that works well. Shield and a pole arm, not bad, not a bad idea. A little bit less obvious than I probably would have gone for. Yeah. The Pink Thirst sounds sus. Yeah, it's more of a Slanesh thing, I think. Underslung chain gun with a chain fist. Chain glaive. Now we're talking. Okay, I quite like the idea of it. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Let's make a new. Let's do a little bit of drawing. To oh, look at that! I didn't realize that you can, if you, it copies the whole thing. That's pretty handy. Okay. Let's go new. So let's go that black again, just for the contrast. So yeah, what I'm thinking is I'm going to really try and draw a very, very poor looking. So he's a chest. He's a midriff. Pants. Legs. Foreleg. Knee pad. Knee pad. Look at the artwork here. Beautiful. They have all these discs everywhere, so there you go. Okay, how's the head sit? It kind of has this little thing like that. They have like a gorget, and we have a his head. Oh, here's a blood angel after all, so let's give him some fangs. Okay, so arms wise, I was thinking. I quite like the idea of I know this is why you all come to this. Chain glaive, that's a cool idea. So right hand, that's a terribly. Can you hold shift to do straight lines? No. That's how do they do a better straight line then? Okay. Just do it quicker. Okay. So I'm thinking some. It's terrible. Chain glaive, look better than this, but yeah, that's the vibe. And then needs to be bigger. Okay. Next shoulder pad, we have a fist, like a power fist kind of deal, like the aggressors. Looks like a power fist, and then. This might be a bit overkill. Chain shovel. He's not angry, he's happy, look. Oh, actually, let's make him angry. Let's just, there we go, he's angry now. Blood Angel's aesthetic is power weaponry, chain glaives were exclusively Night Lords. Okay. So I do have these, I don't think I've got them anymore. How do we name the new co-host? Kriegsman cross the Rubicon. I do apologise for anyone who decided to join the stream for some kit bashing content and just got this artwork instead. So let's maybe have a look. Should we I like the idea of a chain glaive, but yeah, I think as someone mentioned, it is a chain glaive. I wish there was a. I should use Photoshop for this, but it's funny when it's paint. Okay. Let's try a spear instead. I can. Oh wow, that's quite a thick line actually. Surprisingly. That's better. Still looks like a shovel. I'm trying to draw like a really nice kind of leaf spear, but I think that's better. Could use a Guardian Spear and Carmine Blade. To be fair, the Guardian Spears would work quite nicely, I think. If we let's have a look at. I mean, the spears from the Sanguinary Guard look quite good. I could probably repurpose one of those. Where are they? They're down here somewhere, I think. Yeah, I could just reuse one of these spears. $30K Blood Angels tournaments have spears. Oh, okay, let's look at those. Just to remind ourselves. There were some spears here as well. The Dawnbreaker cohort. Yeah, we've got a spear there as well in this like weaponry set. Okay, okay. Oh yeah, he's got like a big. Oh, it's more like a glaive, isn't it? Actually, not quite a chain glaive, but like a. Okay. Yeah, those are swords, but they do have like a glaive. I don't know if I can't see the other one. There's so many options. The trouble is when you search for a specific chapter, it just brings all the generic stuff up as well. Maybe I should just search for Blood Angels in the search and see what comes up. Blood Angel. Can't see them there. Interesting. But yeah, spears probably is a better option, I think, just based on the fact that we have the spears in these guys, and we also have. Oh, I've already opened those twice. We have the spear in here as well. Okay. So I think we have the Bloodsworn, who has a spear and some sort of like assault cannon fist. But it's an assault intercessor, not it's a Gravis armor. It's not a Terminator. Phobos Snap. We're gonna let's run a poll. I don't know how to do it on Twitch, so we're gonna run it on. Oh, Joe Harbison, thank you. I really didn't notice your super chat then. €28, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for all the videos. You've been a great inspiration. Even that drawing of a Krieg Blood Angel. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Really do. Right. So where are we? Where are we here? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll about what we would like to do. Just to make sure that Yankee's happy, and that it's entirely going to be down to the audience. It's not going to be down to me. So we have the Exsanguinators. We have the Bloodsworn. And we also have the Angel's Tears as options. So we're going to do a poll. we're going to let you choose, and whatever you choose, I'm going to start working on for the second half of the stream, the second section of the stream. We might adjust things as we go along, but yes, those are the options. If you wish to be reminded of those options, we have first of all, we have above me, we have the Phobos unit, which are the Ensanguinators. They are Black Rage survivors. They have gone through the whole process of acquiring the Black Rage. They have been able to kind of fight their way through it. They've been able to be led by Mephiston maybe to focus in, and they have such a strong focus and kind of able to just shut their perception down to this one singular target that they're facing off. They become excellent marksmen, and they become effectively assassins. There's not many of them, but they're very, very effective when they do. We have the Bloodsworn, which are heavy Intercessor Gravis units. Small units like Aggressors, 3-man units probably. They're going to be equipped with for close combat weapons. And if we go to the wonderful representation of said Bloodsworn, they're equipped with spears and assault cannon fists as well. So kind of like more of an elite unit. And then we have the tactical unit option. These are Angel's Tears. These are effectively the recreation of a 30k unit and 40k. These are the early stages of Black Rage. So those who are suffering with the Black Rage, they get given the equipment from the old armories, which were the weaponries. It's ancient weaponry. It's not going to be very efficient. It's not going to be very reliable. It's probably going to blow them up, but they're kind of in that level where they can still operate them. They can still see them, kind of see the enemies for who they are, but every now and again they fade into Horus. Every now and again they don't. They've still got the faculties, and they're going to be sent out there at least until they can no longer really control what they're doing as much. So as someone said, grey rage, basically. Grey rage. So let's have a look at how the poll's doing so far. So Exsanguinators are, I mean, it's kind of fairly evenly cut across the board there. At the moment, Exsanguinators and Phobos, the Exsanguinators and Bloodsworn are winning. The Angel's Tears are actually lagging behind. Bloodsworn have just pulled ahead. No, it's even. I think it might come down to a Bloodsworn versus Exsanguinators in the second poll, I think, here. We might need to do another one. We may need to do another one. Maybe the first boys are not over the Black Rage, but with Vamp Aberman's guidance, they are managing to control their rage in combat as long as they refrain from close combat. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, good idea. Mr. Pogon, thank you very much for becoming a member. I do believe you are already a member, of course, so thank you very much for continuing your membership. I appreciate it. Hey Pete, long time fan, quick question. What does kitbash mean? Very confused. I think you're being sarcastic. I think. I don't want to say that. I don't want to answer that because I feel like that might be condescending if you are being sarcastic. But just if you genuinely want to know that because I do have a difference between kitbashing and conversion. But yeah, if you're just being sarcastic, ignore me. But yeah, thank you very much for becoming a member. Again, I appreciate that. Okay, you know what? I think the Exsanguinator is just pulling ahead. You hit the kit with the bat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to make it so it's between the Exsanguinators and Bloodsworn, I think, because they're kind of too close to call at the moment. So let's end the poll for the time being. And then run a second one with just those two guys in. So anyone who voted for the first one, so Exsanguinators and Bloodsworn. I'm really surprised. I actually thought Angel's Tears would do quite well, but can't spell Exsanguinators. Exsanguinators. There we go. Okay. Right. Okay. This is the final one. Whoever wins this one is going to be worked on. as Yankee predicted. It isn't even me. I just obviously just had a good idea that people liked. That's all I'm going to say, Yankee. I mean, it shouldn't matter the fact that I actually spent time and time to work on this kind of mock-up of one. If I let's see if I can quickly export a version of it which doesn't have. I'm not doing this to sway anyone's vote. I'm just kind of pointing out this is kind of a little bit of a. If I just quickly. Just find it. I've unblurred the effect. Put it up here just so people can see. This is the rough kind of kitbash that I did. Kind of like a very, very rough version of the Exsanguinator. That's kind of what I had in terms of the vibe. And ironically, I painted it black, which would actually make perfect sense with what people said. So I'm just going to see if this sways things a little bit. Exsanguinators will take 5 minutes to do both. Frank McHawkenstein, only temporarily going to upstairs to do some kitbash on Abyssal Crusader soon. Okay. I think it's 50-50. I think you're doing this on purpose now, so... Well, thank you for everyone who... We're going to end that poll. We're going to end the poll. Let's do one, and then let's do the other one. If we get a chance. Exsanguinators are just pipped to the poll, so we'll start with them. We'll start with them. I am not having any... To be fair, it's quite a simple concept. Just the kit bash is fairly basic, but I'll probably do more with it. I say do the Bloodsworn. Oh. Okay. Let's do Bloodsworn. So... we need some heavy intercessors. I think we're going to go for... Let's go for aggressors, I think. Probably the best option. Snack 5022. This is making me want to make a custom unit now. I've only thought of kit bashing existing ones. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you can make new units. It's something I've always wanted to do more of. This is why the streams are quite a good idea for this. So let's see if I've got enough components on one sprue to build something with that. Okay, so I think all of these should work. So we're going to do a quick build of the torso to begin with, and we're going to take one of the hands as well. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do the other arm. That's going to be interesting, to say the least. I don't think it's going to be super straightforward. We need to think of a head as well. What kind of head do you guys want to see on this guy? Blood Angels are quite well known for having quite interesting head options, I think. Especially if you look at their Horus Heresy stuff. At least do Necromunda next week. This is it. This is it. No more Necromunda name. This is all we're doing now. We're just going to make new units for different factions. I found my I found the format. Just going to do a quick cleanup of the parts. Nothing too extreme, just because we don't want to spend a whole hour. Do you have any of the old Forge World helmets for them? You know what I do? I do actually have the old Forge World helmets, but I can't think where they are. I have a feeling they're not in the room that I'm currently in. I think they might be in the garage, unfortunately. But yeah, they would have worked really well. I do actually have some, annoyingly. If I'd have thought ahead, I could have grabbed some. Idea for a kitbash unit, Chaos Neophytes. Yeah, it's quite a nice idea. It'd be interesting to see. Something I've always wondered, the lore has always been kind of hazy on that. I think whenever I've looked at how Chaos replenish their units and how they kind of get by the fact that they don't really have any... Because the idea is that the gene seed's corrupted, I believe, if I'm not mistaken with what I've read, so it's not always super stable. I know Fabius Biles had a lot of work to try and resolve those kind of issues, so I think a lot of the ranks are either... I think some of them are cloned, if I'm not mistaken. I think some of them are... some of them are later traitors, people who've gone kind of... who've left some of the other Loyalist Space Marine chapters and just kind of been folded into one of the legions. Especially something like Death Guard, I imagine that's probably happens quite a bit. It'd be interesting to know how they replenish the Thousand Suns. I don't know if anyone's got any interesting lore about that. That'd be quite nice to hear. Bear with me, Stormcast heads for the moulded face on the helmet. Not a bad idea, actually, but do I have any Stormcast to hand? That's the question. That is the question. That would have been really, really clever to think about earlier on. I don't think I do. I do think I have some somewhere, but I'm not 100% sure where they are. But yeah, that would have been a really good idea. I'm going to clip this belt off. I might cover up this this section with something else in a bit. I don't know yet. But I'm going to keep this to hand because I can at least... Is this the right one, actually? Yeah, it looks correct. It's not fitting there. Maybe it's the wrong one. Let's try a different one. RIP to Mr. Tamiya. Yeah, definitely. If anyone hasn't seen the news, but the person who the CEO, or the person who founded Tamiya, who gave Tamiya its name, I can't remember his first name, but the sadly died. Was it yesterday or the day before? But yeah, it's quite interesting. You kind of take for granted the fact that that's the right one. You take for granted that Tamiya is like somebody's name, and it's just a product that I've used pretty much for the entire duration of me being a Warhammer hobbyist, and I think maybe even before then. And then it's just like, oh, I mean, the company's going to still carry on, but yeah. Okay. RIP to Ozzy, Tamiya, and the guy who made Elder Scrolls. Yeah, it's kind of a... kind of a blow to nerd culture all in like 1 month, really, which is a shame. Right, okay, so I think it's going to be the left arm. I'm probably going to change this out, give them the little assault cannon that I want to. I'm probably find that in the Horus Heresy range. And you know what? Thinking about it, I think I used to have the weapons to hand. I don't know if I also have them. Also, RIP to Necromunda. It didn't die, but Pete still refuses to do something. Just do it for the memes now. Just do it for the memes. Thousand Suns take promising cultists, perform dark rituals with a few gene seed piles that they turn the cultist into a sorcerer. Interesting. Yankee is such a drama queen. Yeah. Using the aggressive fist assembly, build the spear into the fist similar to the Crassus Knight lance. Oh yeah, not a bad idea actually. Yeah. So I'm just looking at Crassus lance over there, but I didn't give him the spear. Yeah, that could work. So the only thing I'd need to do is figure out what to do with this kind of section of the fist. It's kind of the let's see if we can. Oh, we're doing a Captain Tycho half-style mask. Now I like that. I like that idea. I don't know how I'd achieve it, but I like the idea. Right, okay, let's have a look at some bits first of all. Let's see what we've got. So there's a couple of people who suggested a Stormcast head. I actually really do like that idea. Unfortunately, I just don't have any Stormcast to hand. I think the closest that I have is in the garage, and I don't really fancy traipsing all the way down. Let me just check. Let me just double check. I might have some. I was correct. I still had a box of Stormdrake Guard from an old kitbash. So yeah, we can use some Stormcast. We can see what the Stormcast head looked like. And honestly, Yankee, just I do appreciate you being one of obviously the moderators for the stream and for the Discord and everything like that. So just for you, I'm just going to place this little Necromunda model who's just going to sit over here. He's still completely sealed, still just not been used. He's going to be there just as a reminder that Necromunda still exists. Necromunda still exists, but it's just out of reach, just in the distance. There we go. There you go. You can stay there. He can be the co-host for the rest of the video. Let's have a look for some Stormcast heads. Just gotta find the right head now for this. To be fair, looking at the heads, I actually think that these Thunderstrike heads might actually be too small after all that. But it was worth it just to grab the little co-host there. Yeah, I'll clip one away just to kind of show you, but I think. Oh, these have all got beards as well. Okay. So yeah, I think the heads are just going to be a little bit too small. I really like the idea of the head, but I think it just sits a little bit too small. So great idea. I think maybe if I had some of the heads from the other kits, maybe the Annihilators, they would have been really cool. Unfortunately, I don't. So. Sister Lilia's... Sorry, Yankee. Sister Lilia's army. What are we building? Well, I shall show you with this beautiful picture. This isn't what we're building because no one in the chat wanted me to do this one. Well, half of the chat didn't. This is what we're building. Let me hide that as well. Let me hide. There we go. This is what we're working on. This is what we're working towards. We're currently trying to find a head. We've got the basic torso. Let's see what heads the the visuals are top tier. Thank you very much, Ramia. Appreciate that. I appreciate a connoisseur of the fine arts. Oh, hang on. Wait a second. Wait a second. I'm not sure if this is going to pay off, so I apologize if it doesn't, but I'm just trying to see if there is a head that I think exists in this kit. I've got a feeling it doesn't exist, but I can't find it to the exact component to say if it does or doesn't. Nope. Okay, I thought it existed. I thought the head existed, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm just imagining it. Actually, no, that's half the body. Where's the rest of the body? Bear with me, folks. Sanguinor. Well, there's a spear anyway. We'll get the spear. Keep the spear handy. We'll use that. That's from the Sanguinary Guard. I'm trying to. There's a head. I think there's a head that exists, but I'm not. I can't seem to find it in my box. I'm just going to check on the website just to see. I think the Blood Angels captain has one. For some reason, I think that this guy had one of the half face helmets, but maybe he doesn't. Why do I feel like he did? Like a Captain Tycho style one. But maybe he didn't. I feel like I've just kind of gaslit myself. Long head. BA from either the Priest or the Sanguinary Guard. What do we have in the box? What do we have in the box of interesting stuff? I actually have some really old Sanguinary Guard in here, but I think using their heads in this is probably a little bit of a bit too much of a tease. Yeah, I quite like the head options. That's a cool head. The longer hair. I did actually draw one without a helmet though as well, so the model needs to not have a helmet. There's lots of head options, but I quite like this one. I quite like this, but I don't want to use this one. There's a couple of head options in there, so it's a nice one. I quite like holding on to the nice parts in case I need it for something else. Let's just double check there's nothing else. Maybe there's one from the Sanguinary Guard that I can use instead. Okay, this is the head I'm going to use. I'm going to use that guy. That's a cool head. I like that one. Let's go for that. I still need to figure out how to do the right fist. I think using a power fist with a spear works well, but I need to just figure out how to get that to work without having the bolter section on there as well. So I need to figure that out, and then once that's figured out, I can actually start assembling the whole thing. So let's stick that in there. Oh, I didn't glue that very well. And then we can work on this. Now, annoyingly, my assault cannons, I have a whole box full of them from the Horus Heresy, but they are in the garage because I didn't think I would need them. And this would have actually been perfect for them. So I might have to get a little bit creative, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, there is... Yes, I might be okay. Let's have a look. I'm going to disappear again. See you in a bit. I'm back. I've got a feeling this isn't going to work because I don't think... Yeah, that's not the option that I... So I basically had one of the Horus Heresy vehicle kits. I couldn't remember if the guy on the turret had like an assault cannon weapon. He doesn't. Annoyingly, the Saturnine box doesn't have those heavy weapons in there either. I have one more option. I'll be back in a second. Right, okay. Final option is my bits box for the Horus Heresy. So it's possible that I have used part of a assault cannon and then put the rest of the bits back in the box, but I don't appear to have done that. So, that's a shame. That is a shame, because that would have actually worked really nicely. I think it's about the right size as well. It would have fit really nicely on there. Okay, okay. So I do apologise for that, because I was planning on using an assault cannon. So it looks like we need to go and we need to do something else. We need something else, don't we, instead of the assault cannon? What can we do? Let's go back and have a look at the range. So, kind of weapon themes that we have. Melter weaponries. I have probably tons of those lying around. Flame weaponry just seems too. I think melter works quite nice. I think a melter fist is quite a. Yeah. Snack 5022. I think melter is. I'm quite feeling the melter effect, and that works quite nicely with the power fist as well. What we have for the power fist. If I stick a melter kind of pistol onto there, I bet all the Necromunda stuff is in the garage too. There's a little bit in the house, but yeah, most of it is in the garage. They used to go over skies with the plasma guns for the hand holding the spear. Are you thinking of the? Is it one of the pointing eradicators that you're thinking of, or there's a guy with it's kind of got. Let's have a look. To be fair, actually, for this arm, if I don't... There's a grenade arm here, which could actually be used... If I drilled... Oh, I'm not even on the camera. I'm getting sidetracked, but there's a grenade arm here, which actually, if I drilled through that, I could probably get... The spear would probably work really nicely in there. Let's have a look at the spear that I've chosen. So... It'd be rough, but I think... If I put that spear like that, and then attach the arm, that'll look pretty cool. Yeah, I think we're gonna rejig to melter. There's a lot of melter weaponry across the different Space Marine ranges. I mean, there's eradicators there that literally have melter weaponry. How can I? Which is the best ones to use? I've got to make sure I've got enough to build these as an actual unit for when I eventually get around to building these guys. So there are 4 melter guns and there's a heavy melter, so there should be plenty there. So if I borrow one of those, that's not a big deal. I'll see if I've got any spare melter guns from elsewhere first though, because that'd be ideal. Where's my Space Marine bits? But there we go. There might be a melter gun in here already. I'd rather use one that's already been clipped off the sprue rather than using a fresh gun, just because it is. Oh, yeah, okay. I found an assault rifle, assault cannon, but it's from Terminators. It'd be far too big. It's like a big Terminator grade one, but yeah, much too big. That's another option for an arm as well. The Inceptors. Just doing a quick check just to make sure I don't have any melter weaponry already before I start clipping away stuff from a sprue. I don't think I do. I think it's all in... It's all attached to the sprue still, I think. Yeah, okay. Just going to commit. Let's go for... So there's 2 there, and then there's a couple on the other side as well, wherever they are. There. Okay, let's take this one. That should fit quite nicely. Perfect. I'll clip that away from there. Use the knife for this one just to make sure it's a little bit of a cleaner cut. And then we need the other side, which is there. You can even snip off the bolter magazine and put the melter pack there. You could do, actually. Any Inferno pistols? I think I have a few pistols from the Blood Angel stuff, but I think this is quite a nice size, this one is. So I quite like this, how chunky this one is. It gives it a bit more of a main weapon appearance rather than a pistol. Kind of a sidearm. Okay, so let's glue this into place, and then we have one weapon down of the two, which is good. Which is good going, because we spent an hour of this stream just figuring out what we were actually going to do, which is, to be fair, I quite enjoyed it. I quite liked working out something before I went in the stream. The only problem with doing that is that it does limit me in terms of what components I have to hand when I actually join the stream, because maybe what we need to do is work on what we're going to do next week so that I can kind of plan and do everything ahead of time. There we go. Melter Fist. Yeah, maybe what we need to do is next time kind of just come into the video, do a kit bash, and maybe figure out what we can do in the next video. And then I can use that time to gather all the bits that I might need, and then I'm not just relying on the components that I have available when I actually start the kit bash, which obviously does limit me. It does make it a little bit more of a challenge, I guess, because I've got to figure out what to do. Pete Jobson, met you at Salute 52 and was so inspired by your Raptors. I now have 2,000 points. I use dry brush method of airbrush though, instead of airbrush though. Did you, hang on, are you saying that you got 2,000 points since Salute? Because if you did, like, Salute was April. That's impressive. If it is, I mean, you might have already met me and then the two separate things, having a Raptors army and then meeting me are two separate things. But if you've managed to get 2,000 points of Raptors since, that's very, very impressive, considering I've been doing these Raptors for 2 years now, I think, and I'm nowhere near 2,000 points yet. Okay, we need to figure out the other arm. I think this arm is going to be the best one, like I said. It kind of gives it that asymmetric look as well. The fist would have been cool, but Iron Halo for the backpack. I think so, yeah. I think that would work cool. I quite like the idea of this guy being more of an elite version. But since April. Oh, that's quite depressing. That's quite depressing, Pete. I'm not gonna lie. I've yeah. I have such a yeah. Since we last spoke in April, I don't think I've added any more Raptors to my army. I did a little bit of a live stream where I was doing the drop pod, but I didn't really do much of a conversion in that video. So yeah, I need to step up my game. 2,000 points since April. What's that? 3 months? Okay. So the only problem with this arm, which I think is possibly going to be the case, is you see how it's kind of just like out? It's more meant to be used as... yeah, maybe this arm won't work. Thinking about it. I think the arm's meant to be used as a throwing arm, and it might not work. Let's put that to one side. Maybe we've got another arm we can use. So we need a right arm. Maybe we will go back to being a spear held in a power fist. We're quite limited on heavy intercessor kits as well, because we only have heavy intercessors, aggressors, inceptors. There's a pointing arm there, but I don't think that would work. Tricky. Cut the arm above the elbow and rotate it. Yeah, that could work. I think if I brought the arm in so it's facing more towards the front of the body, I think that might work. Let's give it a go. I think I've got a few of these arms anyway, so we can't really lose much. I might use the saw on this one just to make it easier. So the good thing about these, actually, I was just thinking that because could I? No, I probably was thinking maybe I could use the pipes instead, but I don't think they would line up properly because they would be more set up for the actual magazines, won't they? Yeah, okay. I'll come back to that. I'll figure that out. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's try and repose this arm and see how we get on with that. I'm going to use the shoulder pad just as okay. Are we through? No, it's quite a thick arm. Can we get all the way through? There we go. Right, let's see if this works. I'll quick tidy up and then see if we can get it to 9th. Was lovely to meet you at Games Expo. Love your Primark videos. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. UK Games Expo was really good this year. It was the first time I'd ever done it as an exhibitor rather than just someone who's attending, and it's quite a different experience, understandably. But yeah, the 3 days I was there just kind of went incredibly fast, even though I was in the hall for quite a while. I think Friday, Saturday was like 10 till 6, I think, and Sunday was a shorter day, but the days went really quick. And also, that gives me the perfect opportunity to shoehorn some talk about my Dead Animal Bits kit. So thank you very much, 9th, for giving me a nice little segue for Dead Animal Bits. If you are interested in picking these up and you're in the UK or the US, you can head over to sparepartsemporium.com. I shall add the text into the chat. And yeah, you can pick the Dead Animal Bits kit. Anything you buy from that site is all kind of shipped by me. So you directly support the channel if you do that. And yeah, there's also some good news with the other kits as well. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times on the stream, but it's still quite early days. But there will be there is another kit coming. It is currently being worked on, in the sense the actual mold is being made currently, and the mold should be completed within the next month or so, hopefully. So yeah, there's another kit coming within this year, hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, so we've got a better arm, yeah. So I think the arm is probably a little bit. I've lost a little bit of length in the arm, but I can probably get that back by using the shoulder pads, to be fair. But what I might do is, I'm trying to think about how to pose the spear now. I like the idea of the spear, but okay. Roll One to Explode over on Twitch. Hello, welcome. How's your day going? Trying to. Oh, jeez, I always do this. Sorry, folks. This is the kind of arms that I've got at the moment. I'm going to reissue what I was saying. Just basically, I've cut down the arm, and it kind of gives me a nice at ease spear. But I'm going to need to change the head direction. I think the head needs to look. Is the glue still not dry enough for me to do this? Let's pop a little bit more glue back in there just to loosen up that bond. I'm gonna probably repose the head. I should have put the head in last, to be fair, because the head should always be facing in a relevant direction for the pose of the arms. And if I'm not sure where I'm going to go, then the head can end up going the complete different direction. Okay, so that looks a bit better. I think looking to one side is a better option. Bingo card Pete mentions Dead Animal Bits. Can't not do. I've contractually obligated myself to mention it at every possible moment. Okay, I think if we can get away with that, I think if we put the spear there, we can have the spear kind of running at more of an at ease. And then he's kind of looking this way. I think it works well with the pose of the body, to be fair. Yeah, okay, let's go for it. I'm going to let this dry for a little bit, and then we can start figuring out how to attach the spear to this hand, which is going to be fun. He could be a rich guy with a Necromunda kit. Yeah, I would also be I'd be a rich guy for a very small amount of time, and before Games Workshop sued me for an extremely large amount of money for copyright infringement. Fog Battleship Warspite. Greetings, Pete. How goes the conversion? It's not bad. Not bad so far. I mean, let's for anyone who's joined late, let's kind of show you what we're working towards here. So we had to kind of readjust things a little bit because I couldn't find any assault cannons in my bits box, so he's now got a melter. So we need to probably just update that just to make sure that everything is obviously what sounds does melter make? How did that happen? Got to be very careful here. Let's go for... Is Malta blue? No. Orange? Oops. So let's be careful. There we go. Malta sound like a microwave. Okay, let's go for that one. There we go. So this is what we're working towards. It makes a microwave sound, so it kind of goes brrr, and then when the enemy's done, it goes ping. So yeah, quite like that idea. Thanks, Pete. I'm talking to Pete Jobson, by the way. I'm not just using myself in the third person. Don't worry. I'm not that narcissistic yet. I know I've started using paint to illustrate my points, but I've never worked at Blizzard, so not too much self-assuredness just yet. Right. Right, okay. So we need to figure out how to attach the spear. Now we have two options. We can either... I don't think it will work. The first way that I want to do it will not work, simply because of how... So I'm going to have to cut out this bit anyway. So what I might do is, depending on how well that works, I could possibly have the spear held a little bit more at ease. That would work, I think. So I'll explain my thought process, because I'm kind of just saying random words. If I cut off this hand, cut that bit off there, cut that bit off there, leave this kind of remnants of a grenade, I could always run a pin through it and just kind of reattach the two halves of the spear, and it would be held at similar to that, probably more like that, I would say, which I think should work nicely. So let's go for that. This is going to be the main thrust of the conversion. Pardon the pun. This is, of course, a spear. And we're going to clip away the hand. So we're going to clip there. And a second clip there as well. And then we need to flatten these out as much as we can. Pete the Pirate Kitbash is slaying of recast. Okay, need to flatten out a little bit. Let's get the file. I'll dig up the live stream before they were famous, once Pete's gone mad. Listen. Next Blood Angels Codex. That's going to be on the cover. Guaranteed. that colours as well. Just a black, white outline, and then big melter blast. Pin Vice, where is that? Where is that? What is your opinion on Finecast? Oh, on Recast. Okay. So, if it's a model that Games Workshop currently produce, then I am a little bit more. I don't really like the idea of recasting, because I think often you are kind of, as much as people don't like how much Games Workshop costs or anything like that, I can understand that it can be expensive and you may disagree with the prices, but at the end of the day, it is their product, and they can pay what they want, and if you can't afford it, or then there are alternatives to it. I think even buying 3D printed proxies is a little bit more is fine, really, because it is someone else's work, and as long as you're paying for it, fine, don't worry about it. Now, if it's a recast of something that no longer exists, no longer sold, and the only way you can actually get hold of it, the original, is if it's from like an eBay reseller who's selling it for stupid amounts of money, then I think that's more understandable. I think recasts in that regards are a little bit more understandable, because it's not like you could go and buy a new one from Games Workshop anyway. But I think in general, if you can still buy it from the main manufacturer, it comes for any miniature. This is not just like necessarily Games Workshop, but for anything like that, if you can still buy it from the main manufacturer, you should do, or at least buy proxies, I think. But yeah, that's where I stand. Probably actually do this on camera, or I'm just hearing the little ASMR pin vice. I don't know if that's coming through, but there we go. Yeah, I'm always really paranoid about drilling into spears, because if you get ever so slightly off center, you can end up like just drilling straight outside of the spear, which is not fun at all. Okay, right. Hear me out, they could do something dope with the shading on that art. I love how everyone's calling it art, by the way. Thank you very much for that. It's kind of really... That art is doing a lot of heavy lifting. An awful lot of heavy lifting. But yeah, I appreciate that. Just the outline of the marine, the orange melter glow. You're an artist, Pete. Can't wait to see the next PA. Right. What about recasting kits from non-existent games like Necromunda? I mean, it's going to be really hard to recast something for something that never existed. I guess that's just like you're just making something up in that regards. If it never existed in the first place, if Necromunda is not even a thing at all, then it's fine to recast, because it never existed in the first place. Just a glute, there we go. Just a little bit of glute. Doesn't need to pop out of the hand too much, just enough for it to... Oh, okay. I've broke it. Okay, that'll do. And need to clip that down. There we go. We have a pin that goes all the way through the hand, and should hopefully, I'm going to dry fit first. There we go. Obviously, I'll need to glue this as well, but just to make sure that everything looks okay. Ta-da! Magic. And the good thing is, if you get the alignment pretty straight, then the actual spears should glue quite easily to each end of the spear as well, which is quite fortunate. A little bit of a bend in there, so I need to make sure that's as straight as possible. Looks okay, and yep. Okay. What I might do is I might glue the shoulder pad first, and then glue the arm. Well, glue the shoulder first, and then glue the arm back to it, just to see how things are looking, and then I can adjust accordingly. The head is like twisted back to the front again. What? I literally re-glued it in position. So I need to angle that head down ever so slightly. Let's get some tweezers for this. Head keeps me. I'm trying to remove the head completely and put it back in. This is quite. There we go. We got it. I like pulling teeth. Right, so re-glue this back in, and we can get into a better position than before. Overbear the glue a little bit. Did you just bring this Necromunda model out to tease Dank? What Necromunda model? What are you know about? Necromunda doesn't exist. It's just like a Mandela effect. That's all. It's like it's a game that Games Workshop used to make years ago. They haven't done anything with it since. It's like old, out of production. Okay, I think the head positioning works a lot better with the spear. I think the way the spear was being held was kind of. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. Now, does the Blood Angels upgrade sprue does it come with heavy Ancestor shoulder pads? It does. It does come with heavy Ancestor shoulder pads. Wonderful. Okay, that's good. I'm glad, because sometimes it doesn't. What's the blood drop? That's for vehicles. Okay, let's give it this one. Let's quite like that one for the backpack. Then we need a generic shoulder pad as well. All right. Okay, shoulder pads in place. Got a little bit more Blood Angels iconography there as well. And we're going to stick this little Blood Angels backpack topper just on the power pack as well. There we go. There's a few extra little bits I could probably work on, such as the actual belt feed from the back. Let's stick him on a base just so he's kind of a bit more 40mm base. Where are the 40mm bases? Right, 40mm base, perfect. Okay, let's stick this guy down. I would clean his feet up a little bit. There's a few sprue tabs on there, so we'll clean those up. Make sure we get rid of the... First of the lines about Necromunda, what's next? They brought back squats to 40k. Yeah, everyone knows that the Tyranids ate the squats years ago. I mean, it's never happened. Obviously, there are quite distinct mold lines on this, but as I have mentioned in some of the previous videos, there were... The amount of time that I spent just cleaning mold lines on a stream was just extremely boring for me and probably extremely boring for you guys as well. So yeah, that's basically... What do we say this guy was called? Bloodsworn. Probably could adjust the name, but actually no, I quite like the idea of these guys being a bodyguard unit actually for characters. I know there isn't any Gravis characters for Blood Angels either, but it'd be pretty cool if there was, like, I don't know, if they could be attached to some different characters that maybe not all of them are Gravis, but yeah, quite happy with that. There's obviously a few more extra details we could add. There's a few more Blood Angel parts that we easily could attach. What else do we have? Yeah, just little things like the blood vials would work. The little blood drops as well. I could even go to town and replace this entire kind of section with one of these larger, more Blood Angel specific parts like this. Yeah, pretty happy with that, to be fair. I think it's something that's Blood Angel specific. It's a bit different. There isn't really any, if I'm not mistaken, there isn't any Gravis units which have melee weapons like that, other than the Power Fist for the aggressors. Would have worked quite well actually as a Gravis captain, to be fair. And yeah, so effectively what I would imagine this unit being is some sort of 3-man box that you could grab, and it would be equivalent to the Inner Circle companions for the Dark Angels or the Wolf Guard head takers for Space Wolves. So we kind of fit that slot in there, and it would basically sit. Maybe if there was a Gravis captain or even a Gravis character, that'd be pretty cool. Maybe Captain Tycho could be Gravis captain, and then that would actually fit really nicely with... It's a little bit wonky, but yeah, quite happy with that one. But yeah, the idea, like I said, I just wanted something which was a Blood Angels character, a Blood Angels unit, sorry, that was more in line with what you had as an existence for other units. So I'm trying to look for my, there it is. Just so I don't have to kind of wave it around, I can just pop it there. Focus it in, and I'll move. Oh, I'll move the camera down. Oh no, the camera disconnected. Right, I had some problems with this, so hopefully it's not permanently disconnected. Oh, we're back. Okay, cool. Just move this out of the way that way we can see. Yeah, cool. Actually, I'll pop it down here. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, really happy with how that came out. Actually, I think considering we kind of started with that, and then yeah, we had to rejig the whole assault cannon thing in the end, but overall, pretty pleased with that, to be fair. Yeah, well, okay, so as I said it earlier on, I think I really like this idea of working on an idea with kind of you guys, and just actually going through and kind of picking up on some ideas. Like anyone who's joined the chat in the last hour of this stream, we spent the first hour basically going through these 3 different options of potential units that we could add to the Blood Angels, and we had a Phobos unit, we had a Heavy Intercessor unit, which is one we did here, and then we had a tactical, and we kind of talked about it, about how they would be, and yeah, I quite enjoyed this. So if you did enjoy this kind of approach to the streams, then I'm more than happy to do this in the future. I quite like the idea of maybe making new units rather than just customizing existing ones, or making a chapter specific version of a unit that already exists. I quite like the idea and the freedom of creating entire new units. So maybe let's kind of just have a rough, very kind of straw poll from people. This is probably going to be the most easiest to achieve with Space Marine chapters. That's Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines probably. So if you give me in the chats, you just throw some ideas. If you're watching this on the VOD later on, then leave those ideas in the comments. Leave me some ideas of which chapters or Chaos Space Marine Legions you'd like to see me do the same thing for, and we can maybe come back to the Blood Angels in the future. But I'm thinking more of the units, the chapters that don't have specific units at the moment, so things like Ultramarines. Not so much Ultramarines because they're very Codex compliant, but that'd be pretty fun to do. Ultramarines, Iron Hands, Raven Guard, Salamanders, Imperial Fist, any of those units which aren't part of the kind of the main pantheon of Space Marines. So not Space Wolves, not Dark Angels, not Black Templars either. There's technically Iron Hand, technically Imperial Fist. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, whilst we're just kind of wrapping up the end of the stream there, let me know those suggestions. There is also going to be there's a new video due this Sunday, hopefully. Can't reveal it. It's been a fun one to build. I have had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, it fixes a problem. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to reveal too much about what it does and what it is, but it fixes a problem. If you are a Patreon member or a channel member, then you should get access to it on Saturday, all things being well. I'm aiming to have it done on Saturday. But if you're not, it'll be live at the usual 6 p.m. BST on Sunday. So yeah, thank you very much for everyone who has joined the stream. Thank you very much for everyone who has become a member, has left a super chat, has followed me on Twitch. Really appreciate it. And if you are, what's going on here? What have I done? Let's bring this guy back up at the top there. Actually, probably should put the guy I spent most of the time working on. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then leave it a like, and yeah. Just looking at the comments. Angel Apocrypha, Cornate, Emperor's Children, Alpha Legion, Raven Guard, yeah. Red, quite eclectic mix there. Iron Hands would be cool. Could be servitor-based unit led by a fledgling tech marine. I'd like that idea. Lots of units that we can actually use. But yeah, we'll now kind of have an idea of what. I'll definitely come to the video with an idea, a few ideas and a few kits. So I'll be a little bit more well prepared. But I think I did quite well based on what I had available. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone who has watched, come along and chatted as well. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one. What I'll do is I'm going to quickly make sure I save this picture because I quite like this one. Okay, it's just making sure I save the guy so he could remain in perpetuity. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I'll see you same time next week. Goodbye.